I've been enjoying these vanilla Generation 1 solo runs lately, and today I'm going to play another Pokemon I've never played before. Today, let's see how fast I can beat Generation 1 using only a Gyarados. Rules are on screen but also in the description. I did this run back on April 11th, and I played Starmie right after it, whose video will be coming in the next few weeks. But obviously for today, the focus is going to be on Gyarados, and we all know Generation 1 Gyarados is an absolute monster. It has a monstrous 125 attack stat and a special stat of 100, which in Generations 2 and 3, its special attack stat is 60, so Gyarados got pretty shafted until the physical special split. 81 speed is good enough. There isn't going to be much that outspeeds us in the early, mid, or late game. Next, I'm going to quickly cover the level up learn set. I noticed about halfway through this run that I had cropped the levels off of my overlay, but that's fine because there's only 3 moves on here we care about. Dragon Rage, which we start with and also learn at level 25, which does a fixed amount of HP every hit. 40 to be exact, which means this move is going to be one-shotting everything up until Mount Moon. Hydro Pump, which we learn again at level 41, and I'll touch on it a bit more later as to why this move is so important. And finally Hyper Beam, which we learn at level 52, which paired with our monstrous attack stat, as long as we're one-shotting our opponent, we won't need to worry about the recharge turn. We're gonna jump ahead to Viridian Forest here. Gyarados is just going to be doing the minimum to Brock, battling the one bug catcher at the end of the forest before taking on the rock-type specialist. But there are a few more things I wanted to touch on regarding Gyarados as a Pokemon. And I said earlier in the video I would talk about some of the similarities between it and Starmie. Aside from the obvious that they're both water-type Pokemon, they're both in the slow level up group. Both Pokemon, however, have incredible move pools, and if we take a look at Gyarados's, it gets access to a nice physical option in Body Slam. It gets the 2 ice moves, the 2 electric moves, Fire Blast for some extra coverage, and of course, Surf, which is going to be a topic for debate later. Jumping ahead to Brock, there's no intro for him this week. It's just Dragon Rage and Dragon Rage. You win. Up next is Route 3 in Mount Moon. Nothing can stand in Gyarados' way thanks to Dragon Rage and Hydro Pump, but Dragon Rage is about to start to fall off some, because soon we're going to get to the point where we can't one-shot things with this move. And I say fall off very loosely. Being able to 2-shot is still nice, but obviously we prefer to one-shot. In Mount Moon, there's a rare candy you can grab, and I'm going to be skipping this along with the escape rope. I purchased escape ropes back in Pewter just for that. Gyarados is just one of those Pokemon you don't need to grab a lot of candies for, and honestly, I think I only take 2 optional battles in this whole playthrough. One I'm sure you can guess, and I'll touch on the other later. The Super Nerd in Mount Moon is where we see our first Pokemon that Dragon Rage can't one-shot, which is his lead Grimer. But again, that's okay. Having to 2-shot is not the end of the world. Gyarados is going to reach level 13 after knocking out his second Pokemon, Voltorb. And after taking the Dome Fossil, I head into Cerulean City and immediately to the gym. I reach level 14 after defeating the Goldeen Jr. trainer, and now let's face Misty. Her Pokemon have 41 and 59 HP, which means Dragon Rage will 2-shot them, and because of Misty's AI, she's not going to be using Water Gun or Bubble Beam against us. If I didn't have Dragon Rage, this would probably be a battle where I teach Bide, but with Gyarados, I would probably just tough it out with Bite. All in all, an easy second gym badge. The prize for defeating Misty is the TM for Bubble Beam, which I'm going to be teaching to Gyarados immediately over Leer, along with grabbing the hidden rare candy, and dropping my first save of the run before facing Rival 2. And it's a good thing I did too, because spoilers, I lose this first battle. One sand attack just completely wrecks me. I couldn't buy an attack to land if my life depended on it. In the next battle, I open with Dragon Rage, but I should have rolled the dice with Hydro Pump. A 120 base power move with Stab this early on might have been able to one-shot Pidgeotto, and it does hit me with Sand Attack again, but I don't have the awful luck that I had in the first battle, and I actually land every attack from here on out. I just stick with Bite for the remainder of the battle. And even though I have to 2 and 3 shot the final 2 Pokemon, unless Gyarados went on a missing spree, there was never any threat of losing this one. To keep Gyarados' pace and momentum going, I didn't bother healing at the Pokemon Center to restore my HP and PP. I have some potions left over in my bag if my HP gets too low. And between my 4 moves and just the sheer power of Gyarados, we don't need to battle the Elixir Hiker. Plenty of PP to make it to Bills. I don't have anything else to talk about or cover on Nugget Bridge, so let's jump down to the SSN. We have our first optional battle here, battling the youngster with a lone Nidoran so we can grab TM08 Body Slam, and the addition of Body Slam just makes the rival an absolute breeze. While I still have to 2-shot the Pidgeotto and Ivysaur with this move, I don't see Sand Attack, and its only Grass Attack Vine Whip is neutral against me, and since it doesn't have Razor Leaf just yet, I have nothing to worry about. This might surprise some folks at home, or it might not, but I'm taking on Lieutenant Surge right away. If you have a chance to win the battle now, it doesn't make sense to put him off. You'll waste more time later on backtracking, so let's face the electric type specialist. I feel like we haven't seen a Surge intro in a while. His first 2 Pokemon don't put up much of a fight. Voltorb does outspeed, and if it were to hit you with a Sonic Boom or 2, reset immediately. We see a Screech from it and move first the next turn thanks to Paralysis from Body Slam. Pikachu is an easy one-shot, and this brings us to Raichu, and I'm going to pause it here to talk about 3 things really quick. Number 1, Raichu does outspeed you, just gonna get the obvious out of the way. Number 2, if you took damage from 2 Sonic Booms earlier, Thundershock is enough to finish you. Remember, we're 4 times weak to its electric moves. And 3, if you see Thunderbolt, reset immediately. In this battle, I see Thundershock from Raichu, which does well over half to me, as Body Slam does half to it. But for the second time in this battle, we inflict Paralysis, which lets us outspeed the next turn and finish it off. We love a first try victory. Whoa! I lost to a water Pokemon? Unbelievable! The prize for defeating Lieutenant Surge is TM24 Thunderbolt, which I'm going to teach to Gyarados immediately, and this move is here to stay for the rest of the run. And Gyarados just has an answer for almost all of the mandatory trainers in Rock Tunnel. I still have both Bubble Beam and Hydro Pump for this first Cubone, and for the 2 Slowpokes I'll have to face, Thunderbolt easily one-shots them. I do have to worry about the last with an Oddish and Bulbasaur though. I don't one-shot her lead weed Pokemon, and it has all 3 powder moves. I would prefer Sleep or Poison Powder, because I still have antidotes in my inventory, and Gyarados will wake up eventually in battle. Stun Spore would be awful because then my speed will be cut in half for the self-destructing hiker. Oddish uses Poison Powder though. And aside from 1 hiccup against Rival 2, this run remains clean for Gyarados. Once I arrive in Celadon City, I immediately head to the Rocket Hideout. There are a few high money items I want to pick up and sell, along with the hidden PP up. And I'm going to be grabbing the other hidden PP up in Celadon as well. I'll explain why later. The battle against Giovanni is easy. I have Bubble Beam for his rock types, which also has higher accuracy than Hydro Pump. But I do switch to the stronger move against Kangaskhan, which his ace for this battle survives on a sliver, but Giovanni just pops a guard spec, essentially giving up. Afterwards, I head to the top floor of the department store to give the little girl a freshwater in exchange for the Ice Beam TM, which I teach in the place of Bubble Beam. Next, I purchase 3 Calciums. Since special moves are going to be my main attacking moves later on, I might as well boost this stat now. After buying my Super Repels and grabbing the HM for Fly, I head to Pokemon Tower to face the rival. It made more sense to head here first than to face Erica. I can hit his entire team for super effective damage except for Kadabra, but it's frail defensively and Body Slam easily one-shots the Psychic type. Against the Ghastlies in Pokemon Tower, I'm just going for Hydro Pump for the highest possible damage output since they all have decent special stats. Only having 5 PP and being 80% accurate though is a problem, and this won't be the last time that this problem persists. This is the part in the video where I usually say I have a choice between Silphco or Cycling Road where to head next, but I'm actually not going to do either just yet. I'm actually going to head back to the Celadon City gym. No extra battles in the gym today, just facing the one beauty with an Execute, and now we can take on Erica. Victory Bell is first. I go for Ice Beam and get a critical hit to one-shot it. I level up and can learn Leer, which I'm not going to reteach Gyarados, and Ice Beam can one-shot the following Tangela and two-shot her ace Vileplume. With Erica defeated, I'm now going to head to Cycling Road. I'm going to pick up the hidden rare candy along with the hidden PP up along the way. I've picked up 3 PP ups to this point, and the only reason I haven't dropped all 3 into Hydro Pump right now is because I was thinking down the line about, will I grab Blizzard, will I teach Blizzard, and will I want to put at least one of these PP ups into Blizzard. But once we arrive to Fuchsia City in the Safari Zone, it's time to discuss another topic that comes up with water Pokemon for obvious reasons. Do you teach Surf? Yes or no? And for Gyarados, it's an easy no for me. Reasons being, since we're in the slow level up group and I've already stated we're not going to be grabbing a lot of candies, we're going to be finishing the game at a pretty low level. And while yes, Surf is a strong move, it has great PP and it's 100% accurate, Hydro Pump is a stronger move that's already on my learn set, and when you're trying to go as fast as possible, not picking up optional battles or items like you saw me do in the Safari Zone is faster, and rolling into things at a lower level, you're going to want the move with more effective power. Anyway, that's my Surf TED Talk for this week's video. See you next time for when we run Starmie. Now let's face Koga. And this is actually my second battle against Koga. In the first, I saw 2 smoke screens immediately and just reset. I wasn't going to play that game. I just talked about Hydro Pump, and it's going to be my move of choice in this battle. I have to 2-shot the first coughing thanks to it leaving it on a sliver, and it thankfully missed smoke screen, and I have to 2-shot Muck as well. But against the second coughing, I get a better range, and Hydro Pump one-shots it. All that's left is Wheezing. My last use of Hydro Pump hits, doing about 1/3 to Wheezing as it uses Toxic. I switch to Body Slam, which crits, leaving it on low red health, and Koga uses an X attack, throwing the battle. Next, I'm going to fly back to Pallet Town and head down towards Cinnabar Island, and I apologize for the poison ticks going off right now. I'm actually going to heal off the poison in the mansion. I have a full restore in my bag, but for some reason just waited until the last possible moment. Anyway, there are a few things to point out in the mansion. 1, there's a Carbos that's right on your path to the basement. I grab this. It's not going to help me out against Blaine, but more speed later on means less problems, hopefully. The second, because I'm level 34, I'm going to get 2 encounters in the mansion. The first is a level 38 Magmar, and shout out to the Magmar guy in my comments. And I also get a level 35 Vulpix. I could have popped some candies now to avoid those, but Gyarados doesn't need them just yet. And last, I'm gonna grab Blizzard. With what I said about Hydro Pump earlier, Blizzard is just gonna give us that extra oomph that Ice Beam can't. There's also 2 candies here that I'm going to grab with the secret key, and why don't we go ahead and face Blaine. And this is my second battle against the Fire-type specialist. I had an oopsie prior and forgot to use an elixir on Hydro Pump, so I reset, did that, and hopped back in. And remember earlier when I talked about Hydro Pump's 5 PP being a problem? Well, that and its 80% accuracy are on display here. I easily one-shot Growlithe with it, but then miss against Ponyta. I want to preserve the 3 remaining PP for Rapidash and Arcanine, so I switch to Body Slam, which leaves it on low red health after a crit. It then crits me with Stomp, doing about 1/3 before I take it out. Hydro Pump then misses against Rapidash as Blaine uses a Super Potion, before my next one hits to one-shot it. But now I only have 1 use of the move for Arcanine, who's also faster, and Takedown hits hard, leaving me at 10 HP. Hydro Pump leaves it on low red health, and it finishes me the next turn. I make it back to Arcanine with slightly more health in the next battle, and also use 2 PP ups and Hydro Pump prior to this battle. I get a turn 1 Super Potion and a Hydro Pump miss, a turn 2 Super Potion followed by a Hydro Pump hit, which leaves it on low yellow health. Turn 3, I get Roar. This is looking good, but Hydro Pump misses, before Arcanine goes for Takedown, getting a crit, which Gyarados survives on 8 hit points. Hydro Pump hits, finishing off his ace. The volcano badge is mine. Next up is Silphco, and I pick up another optional battle. The rocket grunt with the lone Machoke who guards the Carbos, rare candy, and TM for earthquake. I could have skipped both the battle and the candy, and it's a little disappointing that Gyarados doesn't learn the TM for earthquake until Generation 3. Because if it got that move in Generation 1, man, it would make one battle in this run a lot better. But it's a straight shot to Rival 5 from here. This battle isn't difficult. The only thing that's a bit disappointing is that I have to two-shot Pidgeot, Alakazam, and Venusaur. Pidgeot has the opportunity to hit me with Sand Attack, but it doesn't, just going for Whirlwind. And Alakazam has a chance to hit me with something like Psybeam or even Disable, which would have been awful if it disabled Ice Beam. But we get a retroactive potion, and even though Venusaur's neutral Razor Leaf does about a third to me, I have plenty of HP, and we can move on. Giovanni, he exists. Let's wrap up the last two gym leaders in Kanto, starting with Sabrina. Despite Sabrina's psychic types having pathetic physical defense, Body Slam cannot one-shot them beyond Kadabra. Mr. Mime just wastes my time with Double Slap, and things get annoying at Venomoth. Body Slam does about 2/3, and it paralyzes me with Stun Spore. It then chips me down to half HP with Psybeam, as I get caught in paralysis 4 straight turns before I knock it out. Alakazam is last. It sets up Reflect, which lessens the damage from my Body Slam, but I do inflict paralysis. It then fires off a Psybeam that confuses me, and right on cue, I hit myself down to 21 HP. This is looking like it's going to be a reset, but Alakazam goes for Reflect the next turn. Body Slam connects through the paralysis and gets a critical hit to finish off Sabrina's ace. Giovanni, he still exists. He's a gym leader now, and Hydro Pump destroys his team. Rival 6 time. Gyarados is pretty underleveled for this battle, 42, but I will hit level 43 before the end of the battle. I do have to two-shot his lead Pidgeot, who no longer has Sand Attack on its learn set, and I can one-shot his next few Pokemon until Growlithe. I go for Body Slam on it, thinking that that would be enough. But it's not. Its takedown doesn't do too much to me in retaliation, but now let's talk about Alakazam. It's faster, and gets a massive critical hit with Psybeam bringing me to 6 HP. Had it used Psychic and crit, that would have knocked me out. Body Slam does not get the one-shot, although I do paralyze it, which will allow me to move first the next turn. But unless I freeze Venusaur, I'm finished. Ice Beam does half to the grass type, and it goes for Vine Whip to give me a reset. In the next battle, I have full HP going into Alakazam, and I get lucky. It goes for a turn 1 recover, and Body Slam gets a critical hit. While it doesn't one-shot the Frail Psychic type, I once again inflict paralysis, allowing me to outspeed and knock it out, and I have plenty of HP for Venusaur. I don't get a good roll with my first use of Ice Beam, and Razor Leaf does about half to me. My next Ice Beam leaves it on a sliver, and it goes for the weaker Vine Whip. I finish his ace, and Gyarados is off to the league. In Victory Road, I didn't grab the extra rare candy or pick up any optional battles. I've picked up 8 candies throughout this playthrough, and I'm going to use 7 now to go from level 43 to 50 before taking on the league. At level 50, above 3 damage rounding thresholds, I still have to two-shot all of Lorelei's water types. One nice thing is that I do get a critical hit on Slowbro, which does one-shot it, and to my surprise, Jinx survives a Body Slam, and it deals a decent amount of damage back to me with Thrash thanks to a critical hit. I've sped this battle up because there really isn't much to talk about until Lapras. Thunderbolt is a 3-shot on it, and things get down to the wire with me hitting myself in confusion and taking a Body Slam from Lapras. While Gyarados snaps out of confusion quickly, Lapras reconfuses me, and it's down to a coin flip, which Gyarados wins. Bruno, he exists. He's kind of in that same realm as Giovanni in this run. Hydro Pump destroys him. Let's move on. Agatha is next, and this battle is a pain. Gyarados doesn't outspeed her ghosts, and they also have decent special stats, so I'm going to have to 2 or at worst 3-shot them. In this first battle, I don't even inflict a single HP of damage to her first Gengar. I get put to sleep and chipped down by Nightshade and Dream Eater, with the same thing happening in the second battle, except she mixes in some confusion as well. In this third battle, things start off terribly. I get confused by Gengar and hit myself twice, and you can see how little Thunderbolt and Ice Beam do. I really should just leave my cursor on Hydro Pump for her ghosts for maximum damage. I do manage to get by her first Gengar finally, and I level up to 52 and can learn Hyper Beam, which I am going to teach over Body Slam. One unfortunate thing is that I have to two-shot both Golbat and Haunter. I didn't want to risk Hyper Beam not one-shotting Golbat, but I should have just rolled the dice. And like her first Gengar did, Haunter is able to confuse me before it goes down. Against Arbok, I am going to roll the dice with Hyper Beam, which it hangs on from and paralyzes me with Glare, and unfortunately that leads to another loss for Gyarados. After an additional loss at the hands of Arbok, I make it back to her Cobra with full HP thanks to some great luck. Instead of Hyper Beam, I go for Hydro Pump, which leaves it on low red health as well, but instead of Glare, we see Acid, and I've made it to her final Gengar for the first time. It outspeeds going for Toxic, as Hydro Pump does about a third. I then see 2 Nightshades in a row, but thanks to another Hydro Pump hit leaving Gengar in low red health, Gyarados barely hangs on to pull out the W in this 5th battle. Last is Lance. I have Ice Beam, I have Thunderbolt, and I also have Hydro Pump for Aerodactyl. Unless I get crit by one of his Pokemon's Hyper Beam, I'm good. It is a bit annoying that Thunderbolt and Ice Beam miss some ranges, but I do see Lance use a Hyper Potion on those missed ranges so I don't take any damage back. It's nice to have an easy battle after the pain that Agatha was. Before the battle against the champion, I'm going to teach Blizzard in the place of Ice Beam and drop a PP up into it. Now Gyarados is ready for the final battle. Pidgeot is first and I rip a Blizzard, which doesn't one-shot, and Pidgeot mirror moves the Ice-type attack back at me, critting and doing about a third of my HP. I take it out the next turn and move on to Alakazam, who gets obliterated by a Hyper Beam after a turn 1 recover. The next 3 Pokemon aren't a problem. I can one-shot Rhydon with Hydro Pump, Gyarados with Thunderbolt, although I do get a crit which probably mattered, and Arcanine with Hydro Pump, before moving on to his ace Venusaur. Fresh over a damage rounding threshold, I rip a Blizzard that does over half to the frog. It fires off a Razor Leaf, and Gyarados tanks it with 46 HP remaining. One more Blizzard ends this one, winning us the run. Gyarados completes a dominant run with a real time of 38 minutes and 38 seconds for all my real-time folks out there, completing the game at level 55, the second lowest level for one of these vanilla Gen 1 runs, tied with Snorlax, with an unreal in-game time of 2 hours and 20 minutes, trailing only Mewtwo's 1 hour and 58 minute in-game time I got back in November of last year. I knew Gyarados was good, but I didn't expect it to claim the second overall spot on my tier list good. Like, I knew it would be top 5, but it definitely surpassed my expectations. And now I've got high hopes for a Pokemon like Alakazam when I finally play it. Perhaps I'll play the Spoon Man after I get the Starmie video edited. As always, thank you guys for the continued support on the channel. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm actually finishing up this voiceover before I finish the Generation 1 normal Nuzlocke, and I haven't even started the other 2 types yet, but I expect that by the time this video drops, we'll be completed with the series or close to, and we're probably diving into Generation 2 Nuzlockes, or maybe even Gen 3 with some Fire Red. Special shout out to the channel members, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care, everybody.